What's up, guys? It is Friday, September 2nd. It's 11:20 a.m. and this is the newsletter. So starting off, Stably is excited to partner with Ripple for technical support to launch our stablecoin as USD on the XRP ledger, the 10-year-old blockchain designed to enable settlement and liquidity of tokenized assets at scale. So Stably is very well known and very compliant, and you're able to actually buy Chia and store Chia on there. And they're actually partnered with Stellar Lumens as well too. So Stably.io. And let's see what's on here. So bridging value from the real world to the digital economy, enterprise asset tokenization solutions, and borderless accounts for 21st century innovators and businesses. It helps traditional businesses bridge the crypto chasm. Stably provides technology infrastructure for asset tokenization through a white label platform solution, APIs and SDKs, as well as bespoke integrations. Stably's mission is to make financial transactions faster, cheaper, and more transparent through a borderless digital money platform powered by stablecoins and tokenized assets. Global business stablecoin account. So it's like a global fintech provider. So you see Stellar, you see Kitco, Kyber Network Wire, First Digital, Bittrex, Binance, Prime Trust, and let's see if if I go to View Partners. Our investors, 500 startups, huge venture capitalist accelerator program. A lot of big Silicon Valley companies came from there. Then you got partners, Stellar, can't see it, Balancer, and then Uniswap. Okay, so then we keep going down here. And Wire actually uses Stellar. Chia, so clients are Chia, Tezos, Stellar, VeChain. And then, but they don't have Ripple listed. But they had released this news saying that XRP is now enabled on the platform for stablecoins. Then we got September will be huge for crypto regulations. Ron Hammond of the Blockchain Association breaks down what's happening this month. So they touch on stablecoin, CBDCs, Tornado Cash, Gary Gensler, SC, CFTC, and more. Because Biden's executive order, emergency executive order on cryptocurrencies that he released back in March, it gave people or the government agencies 6 months to report on their kind of duties when it comes to cryptocurrencies, and that's supposed to come out in the next 4 days because it was 6 months. I think they released it around March 6th. So 6 months later, that's September 6th. So any day now, we're going to be getting a lot of info coming out of government agencies about regulation and how the U.S. is going to go about classifying which government agency is going to handle what when it comes to cryptocurrencies. So that's going to be huge. And then we have online investing platform Bank to the Future to buy crypto lender Salt Lending. The platform also plans to work with companies in financial distress. So, it's helping companies like Voyager, Celsius, and it's getting into the lending space by acquiring Salt Lending, and it's going to help other companies get out of their situations like Voyager and Celsius. Then we have this video, Rosie Rios, my favorite Ripple girl. She's saying something about currency, like how they're creating a new currency. So let's hear it.
The future generation of currency of that particular family of notes. We're working on the future generation of currency. So that is my other job. We're working on the future generation of currency. So that is my other job.
Money, power, and respect for the chosen few.
So crazy. Rosie Rios. Then we got Russian Prime Minister says digital assets are a safe alternative in foreign trade, urges for ruble payments. He praised digital assets as a payment instrument that could strengthen Russia's financial independence. Remember when James Rickard, I got to pull it up now. All right, so here it is. And then goes to you because it's a lot.
A reserve currency. Distinguish between a payment currency and a reserve currency.
And then kudos to you because it's a lot. But here we go. Payment currency. Remember we heard about this?
It's important to distinguish between a payment currency and a reserve currency. The dollar dominates both realms. But it's much easier to replace the dollar as a payment currency. If you have enough parties that agree, you can use baseball cards or bottle caps if you want to.
Which is what Russia's doing right now. That's a payment currency in that scenario.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is already going on. Those talks are fairly advanced. There's, the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, but it's now morphed into the BRICS Plus. They've invited Iran, Turkey, Argentina, Brazil, and other countries to join that group. There's something called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, led by China and Russia with some Central Asian states. And there's a third group called the Eurasian Economic Union. It was sort of Russia's answer to the EU, but that involves, Belarus, some Eastern European countries, Russia, and some Central Asian republics. So those three organizations, all multilateral, and you say, they're just emerging economies, who cares? No, we're talking about half the population of the planet, more than half of the global GDP, and major oil exporters and natural resource producers, strategic metals, agriculture. This is a big deal. They are already working on these channels. They're actually doing exactly what John Maynard Keynes wanted to do here at Bretton Woods in 1944. They're talking about nobody wants the ruble as a payment currency or the Chinese yuan. That's not going to happen. Right. But they could invent a totally new currency. Call it whatever you want. I mean, John Maynard Keynes did. He called it the Bancor. Backed by, at first he said a commodity basket, so much oil, so much wheat, so much gold, etc. And then he said, but oil's not really fungible. There's 70 kinds of oil based on viscosity and sulfur and all that, and wheat, it spoils and whatever. So let's just go to gold to simplify it. So a lot of times you end up with gold, not because it's shiny and pretty, but because it actually works. Mm-hmm. We're going down that path. In the meantime, China's talking to Saudi Arabia about selling or buying oil for Chinese yuan. Russia's talking to India about they don't want Indian rupees. I mean, how much curry do you want to buy? But they're talking about accepting the UAE dinar, which is coming along. Dubai is a major financial center, transshipment center, and if you have dinar, you can use them for something. And India's got a lot of dinar because there's so many Indians in the UAE who are sending remittances and then other transactions going on. So this is all happening. So then the question, where does it go from here? I was in a meeting once at the Pentagon, and I was.
So that's good for that. But you can see the point there is it's easier to replace the dollar as a payment currency than the world's reserve currency. So what they're trying to do is they're going to replace the dollar, and they are right now. You can see that that's all playing out, the narrative for it. They're going to replace the dollar as a payment currency, and then maybe by 2025 or 2030, those timelines, right? We'll see the dollar be replaced as the world's reserve currency. So it's much easier, and you can accelerate the transition from using the dollar as a payment currency, but it's harder to dethrone the dollar, and it takes more time to dethrone it as the world's reserve currency. So first you displace it as the world's payment currency to be used in trade, and then ultimately that will displace it as the world's reserve currency. So let's go to that article. So Russian Prime Minister has praised digital assets as a payment instrument, so payment currency, that could strengthen Russia's financial independence. The top government official also called for an increasing use of the ruble for international settlements. The head of Russian government sees digital assets as a tool ensuring uninterrupted payments. Digital assets can become an alternative to traditional settlements and facilitate payments for imports and exports, the Prime Minister recently remarked. He made the comment during a strategic session of the development of the domestic financial system. In a statement which has streamed online, the head of executive power in Moscow insisted that the Russian Federation needs to intensively develop innovative areas, including the introduction of digital assets. He elaborated, "This is a safe alternative for all parties, which is able to guarantee uninterrupted payments for the supply of goods from abroad and for exports." Russia has been mulling over ways to reduce its dependence on the US dollar for quite some time as part of a policy objective referred to as a de-dollarization. Digital financial assets, a broad term in current Russian law that officials have used to describe cryptocurrencies, have been considered as an option even before the latest sanctions imposed over the war in Ukraine. A draft law on digital currency prepared by the Ministry of Finance is expected to more comprehensively regulate cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Of course, it will be necessary to integrate the mechanism for the circulation of digital currencies into the country's financial system. Later reports have indicated that Moscow may start employing digital coins for settlements with partners in order to circumvent Western restrictions. In June, the governor of the Central Bank of Russia admitted that cryptocurrencies could be used in international payments if they do not penetrate the Russian financial system. In his latest address devoted to the key tasks for the Russian government in strengthening the country's financial independence, he spoke about the need to gradually phase out the use of national currencies of unfriendly countries. The prime minister emphasized on the importance of increasing the share of the Russia ruble in international payments. You can see the narrative playing out. All right, and then listen carefully to this.
Key lessons I learned from being involved in the market so long is rather than market. One of the key lessons I learned from being involved in the market so long is rather than listening to what people are saying, look at what they are doing.
Correct.
So this is what we should look at, and this is what I want people to focus on now. Billionaire hedge fund manager Stephen Cohen, who's worth between $12 to $14 billion, by far the smartest hedge fund manager in the world, I would say of the last century, is buying Bitcoin. $6,800, buying Bitcoin. Mark Lazary, Avenue Capital Group, worth about $1.7 billion, has put 1% of his net worth into Bitcoin at around this price, $7,500. Andreessen Horowitz,
Mark Andreessen.
That's right, Mark Andreessen, an early investor in Airbnb, Skype, Facebook, just launched and Coinbase just launched a $300 million fund. Wellington Capital, they have $1 trillion in assets, are starting to get involved in Bitcoin futures. Susquehanna, the 12th largest trading firm by volume, they now have their own Bitcoin custody department, their own trading department, and they're trading Bitcoin and Ethereum. Goldman Sachs, this new CEO, David Solomon, the most pro-Bitcoin / cryptocurrency guy on Wall Street. The most pro
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. He's the new CEO. He's coming into power shortly. BlackRock, this announcement just came out, the world's biggest asset manager. Now, last year, Larry Fink says, oh, you know what cryptocurrency and Bitcoin's good for?
Yeah.
Money laundering and drug dealers.
Right.
Right? So again, if you look at what he's saying, you're going to sell your Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
You're going to say, oh, this is all BS. But guess what is happening now? They're going to launch an ETF. They're looking at an exchange-traded fund that will allow anybody with a brokerage firm to make it as easy as hitting a buy button to go out and buy Bitcoin. So you've got to look at this preponderance of evidence, right? All these people are already wealthy. All these people care about their reputation. If Bitcoin is such a trashy asset, why are all these people getting involved? This is
And that's such a great question to ask. So, like, do what they do, not what they say. And he mentioned BlackRock saying that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for money laundering, but then we saw recently that BlackRock partnered with Coinbase to offer crypto and Bitcoin buying for their institutions. And then along with that, right now, we're seeing the same thing playing out. Even though JP Morgan is saying to people that buying Bitcoin at 60K and shit like that, right now they're saying, this was August 30th, so how many days are in August? Maybe this was a couple days ago? Yeah, this was 3 days ago. But they're saying you should sell your crypto. So what does that mean? It means do not sell your crypto, because this is the bottom. Because if JP Morgan is saying sell your crypto, then that's just more confirmation that this is actually the bottom, because they're not looking out for us. They want you to sell the bottom because they're the ones that are going to be buying it. So you're either buying along with them or you're holding and you're not selling to them. So he said that persistent hawkishness of the U.S. Fed will spell more trouble for digital assets. He's also bearish on large cap stocks. Bitcoin has been trading. Crypto market, yeah, okay. He said that 95% fraud, hype, noise, and confusion there is in crypto, but it's that 5% that is real and that is doing has actual utility. That's why we're looking for the coins that have true value, and that's that 5%, because they're going to soak up all the money. So he noted that cryptocurrency's cost of production dropped to just $13,000. So do what they do, not what they say. It's so true. Then Flare Network, Canary Songbird Network, Layer 1 Operational Network. So this is just a diagram of Flare, and it's launching this month officially. So Songbird is going to pop off. But Songbird, Flare is launching. Avalanche Protocol is a part of it. we're seeing a lot of FUD around Avalanche, and usually you'll see that when it's the perfect time to buy. So Avalanche, great buy. Songbird, great buy. You have F Assets, which is XRP, Litecoin, Dogecoin, Stellar. I think Algorand is a part of this, and they're going to make a bridge for Bitcoin to access DeFi. So this whole ecosystem is huge. And there's also another, I believe, airdrop that we're going to be getting. It's called Pangolin, and it's like a Avalanche-based decentralized exchange, and it's being built on Flare, I believe, or it's in partnership. So let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, right here. So excited to announce our partnership with Pangolin Dex, a community-driven decentralized exchange expanding from Avalanche to Flare. As they expand across chains, we'll partner with community members with easy access to their new tokens. Head over to Pangolin Flare for more. So let's see about this airdrop. Yeah, Songbird soon, Flare soon, airdrop soon for Pangolin. So I'm following them, so I'll make sure that we're on top of this as far as getting this airdrop. As we approach our upcoming launch on Songbird Network, we'll be updating the Pangolin doc. Stay tuned. Yeah, so we'll have to see and wait on that news to come out that we're getting the airdrop. And then XRP is coming whether you like it or not. TikTok. Let's hear what this is. So this is Volante. So proud to be leading the way in implementing the Federal Reserve upcoming instant payment offering FedNow service as a pilot participant. You have the Faster Payments Task Force Steering Committee members. And if you go down here, you got Ryan Zagone, Ripple Labs. They're on the Faster Payments Task Force for the Fed. Then you have Federal Reserve Payments Pilot incorporates Ripple partner Volante Technologies. Then you have in 2017, Federal Reserve Task Force Ripple improves speed and transparency of global payments. That the Federal Reserve Task Force had highlighted Ripple saying they improve speed and transparency of global payments. Then you have former Ripple advisor Michael Barr will supervise the Federal Reserve. Then you have Ripple client Volante Technologies joins Fed Reserve's FedNow Payments Pilot. And we already saw in the last video, XRP is enabled for the settlement mechanism in there. So it's just a matter of time. TikTok, seriously. And then we got, with all the talks about FedNow, David Schwartz mentioned the benefits of domestic real-time payments in a speech. XRP would bridge different real-time payment systems. I believe we went over this, but it makes sense. So every single country is updating and modernizing their domestic payment system. And they're doing that utilizing the XRP ledger and maybe building stable coins or, on top of the XRP ledger. And then once all that is set in stone, now you have XRP perfectly positioned as a bridge neutral asset that's limited in supply that can bridge all these domestic payment systems together for international commerce, trade, exports, imports. See right there, made modernizing international payments so difficult. Because CBDCs won't solve the last mile problem that has made modernizing internet payment. Yeah. So CBDCs will help the domestic payment systems, but it doesn't get you past that last mile, which is the international cross-border payments. And that's why them building their CBDCs on XRP ledger, then having XRP positioned in the middle for when they're ready to implement the international kind of upgrade of trade utilizing XRP. Now it's sitting there ready to go, and they can flip the switch at any moment and start using it. And then this is from the BIS. Can central banks cope? This is a couple articles that came out yesterday. I didn't think there was anything too important in here. So yeah, it's just about inflation. I'm confident that by the end of 2024, the inflation monster will have been defeated. So assets that are limited in value that people need, like commodities, cryptocurrencies, I believe are going to just, starting now, go on a massive bull trend until 2024, 2025. And then maybe we'll pull back around 2025 to 2027. And then 2028 to 2030, we go on another kind of bull run. And then we actually will probably top by 2030. the dollar will start to level out and then go back on an upswing. And we'll see that cryptos like that by 2030, like we'll have our Apples already decided, our Facebooks, our Googles, and then we'll reach like this pinnacle of like kind of more sustained slow growth instead of just massive 100x's and stuff like that. So now's the time to get in. So Edward S. Robinson, an update on the global domestic economic conjuncture. Let's see if there was anything for this. I don't think there was. Yeah, nothing important here. Then we have Robinhood has officially listed Cardano, and they listed Stellar, Avalanche as well too. So Robinhood is really kicking up their cryptocurrency offerings. U.S. Digital Dollar, Cash CBDC, Project New Dawn, which is MTech plus Hedera plus Microsoft Azure. Digital Dollar Project, Digital Dollar Foundation plus Accenture, Technical Sandbox Program, MTech, Digital Asset, Knox Networks, Ripple. HBAR is very tied up with it. Ripple as well too. We already know this. So Digital Cash Blockchain Network. This is how it's going to look, this diagram. And I think Accenture is a Ripple investor as well too. So this is a big speculation prediction out of Jim Rickards. The guy's been on point, so who knows? But he says Trump will be indicted sometime in the next 30 days. Biden's speech tomorrow is to lay out the pretext. Get ready. This is definitely not priced. He knows stuff that we don't. So if by September 30th or October 1st, Trump is indicted and he's put in handcuffs and it's shown all over the TV, there's going to be riots on the street, let me tell you that. And that could signal the demise of the dollar, the demise of like the U.S. stock market. And that could be the case for cryptocurrencies to rise, commodities to rise, because there's no central authority over these assets. They're commodities and they're needed, and they're not overlooked or supervised or issued by the U.S. So those are going to just exponentially boom if this were to happen, because something like this would send the U.S. dollar tanking, and it would send the stock market tanking, because it's just instability in America basically, and the rest of the world will love if this happened, and to see the U.S. kind of shit in the bed in a sense, and there'd be a lot of like what's it called, lost faith in America, and that's gonna show itself in the fall of the dollar. So we'll have to see this, but that's a huge prediction. Then we have Peter Schiff notes how before the Fed existed, note currency was circulated by private companies that issued their own currencies, all backed by gold. The same thing could happen again, but instead with the legitimate digital currencies backed by gold. So remember that the Uchte Mark, it was back into the 1400s. You had these private bankers using their own virtual currency. It wasn't with computers or anything like that. It was back in the 1400s, but they had it's just like a written IOU that the bankers agreed on together, that this was their private virtual currency, and it was backed by gold, because like they're not going to transport all this gold to each other. It's a long, resourceful process. So instead, they all agreed on, backing this Uchte Mark is what they called it, and it was basically a virtual private currency that it was a banker's currency, and they would only it was like on the back end, like citizens weren't touching that, but the bankers, it was like the digital gold in a sense. So let's hear what he said.
Before there was a Federal Reserve, how did currency come into existence in the United States? It was created by private banks that operated all around the country. They issued their own note currency, and all of it was backed by gold. That's how it worked. And in fact, the original Federal Reserve notes, they were backed by gold too, and they were redeemable in gold. So we were on a gold standard both before the Federal Reserve was created and after. But the original note currency was put into circulation by private companies. So the same thing could happen again, except instead of paper currency, you would use a digital currency. Private companies could put digital currency into circulation, just like they've done now, except instead of putting fiat digital currencies in, they could put legitimate digital currencies in, those that are backed by gold. And that would make them similar to the type of currency that was issued, before the Federal Reserve, except even more efficient when it comes to the ability to utilize them as a medium of exchange. Because, you would have a digital token that you can transfer instantaneously anywhere in the world, instead of, just having a bill or having to use a checkbook or something like that. So you can get all of the benefits of blockchain without the drawback of Bitcoin when you have a legitimate, crypto that is backed by real money, gold. I mean, so gold is money, and the crypto would be currency that could circulate, in place of money, but backed by money, but it would be more convenient to use.
So that's exactly what BRICS is doing right now. And, Peter Schiff definitely holds XRP. He knows what's good. So then we have the FBI warns about decentralized finance exploits and the losses associated with them. So the United States FBI has issued a public service announcement about exploits attackers have recently used to steal cryptocurrency from investors that put money on DeFi platforms. The organization also advised crypto investors to do their own research and verify that the DeFi platform chosen were audited by independent parties. So there's more kind of compliance regulation that's getting kicked into play here. Then we have every quick SP 500 breath moves sub 10% to over 90% suggestive of underlying strength in equities. Since Bitcoin existed, closely preceded a major Bitcoin impulse. Yes, this time could be different. The time can always be different. Not sure. No one was sure past bottoms were bottoms, and that's facts. But on the S&P 500, he has this indicator here, and every single time it goes from the bottom in the red to up here, that signifies that the bottom's in the stock market, and that coincides with Bitcoin as well too. You can see, bam, we go up, bam, we go up, bam, up, right there, up, and then we just hit it again. I mean, like, to me, that shows a clear story. This is like the entire history of Bitcoin. This has signaled the bottom's in. Like to see that more, just validation. So updated over-the-counter derivatives compliance calendar. So there's deadlines and regulatory dates for the over-the-counter derivative space. A lot of this stuff's happened in the derivative space. It seems like they're upgrading to a new system. And with the DTCC launching Project Ion, that's very well the case. Then Credit Suisse held $31 million in digital assets for clients last quarter. The Swiss bank disclosed its custody of what are more likely tokenized securities than cryptocurrencies, in keeping with SEC accounting guidance. So it held tens of millions of dollars digital assets for clients at the end of the second quarter. And yeah, we're going to see much, much more of that. Big banks, including Citigroup, BNY Mellon, Goldman Sachs, State Street, all made SAB 121 shoutouts in their most recent quarterly financial reports, perhaps laying the accounting disclosure groundwork for their own crypto custody plans. None of them had any crypto asset holdings to account for in the second quarter, however. Some crypto companies like crypto exchange Coinbase have also begun to report crypto risk compliance with the new SEC rule. Coinbase famously reported that its customers risked losing their assets in the event it went bankrupt, though CEO Brian Armstrong later specified that it was purely a pro forma warning in line with SAB 121. So Volante Tech, yeah, we already know this. And then collaboration between private and public sector is essential, says Executive Director on the CBDC and DeFi panel at the CBDC conference, Green CBDC. So public sector, governments, central banks, and then you have the private sector, Ripple, HBAR, and they're working together for CBDC creation. And then luxury watchmaker Jacob & Co. has revealed a Bitcoin-themed watch. And that's because they know that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is the new flashy thing. So they're going to hop on the train, make Bitcoin-themed watch, because it just helps their brand out. Then MTech, an award-winning software company and first-of-its-kind modern central banking infrastructure provider, announced today the release of the Green CBDC framework to help central banks unlock unprecedented value in deploying a central bank digital currency. And it's green, governing for impact, reimagining trust through transparency, embracing sustainable use of energy in the digital world, empowering innovation with core infrastructure, nurturing inclusive and resilient ecosystems. And then this was September 1st out of Ripple, so another blog out of them. Utility-based NFTs, so not digital art, but utility-based, so tokenizing real estate, tokenizing carbon credits, tokenizing whatever it may be. And that is solving real-world problems in carbon markets. So carbon markets are a powerful tool for accelerating progress towards globally agreed upon climate goals, helping companies reach net zero emissions and facilitating financing for climate action projects. Opportunistically, carbon markets can play a positive role in the fight against climate change, but persistent systematic challenges such as scarcity of high-quality, verifiable credits, low trust between buyers and sellers, and outdated infrastructure, which contribute to inefficient supply bottlenecks, plague carbon markets today. Addressing these issues now is critical to ensuring carbon markets fulfill their full potential. So explosive new entities have recently committed to making carbon markets more reliable and more effective tools to reverse climate change. McKinsey last year laid out a blueprint for achieving large, transparent, verifiable, and environmentally robust markets using standardized contracts and improved trading infrastructure, among other priorities. Since then, other standards have emerged, such as the IWA token taxonomy framework for voluntary ecological markets, a fundamental building block that brings together market participants to create new business models based on tokens. Nations are getting in on the act too, with India announcing plans for a new carbon trading market to help companies in traditional industries like energy, steel, and cement move towards greener practices. Blockchain companies have become especially active in carbon markets to unlock greater value and create more transparent, traceable, and scalable approaches. For example, Ripple announced a $100 million investment this year to help scale carbon markets by investing in carbon removal companies and climate-focused fintechs, financing a future supply of high-quality, long-term nature and science-based carbon removal, supporting carbon credit tokenization on the energy-efficient and scalable XRP Ledger blockchain. Remember Zanj in partnership with the United Nations. So they're building a carbon credit tokenization, or like Zanj's with the XRP Ledger, and then grant making to leading climate NGOs, ensuring blockchain innovation for carbon markets is impact focus. Unlocking value in carbon, they literally bring up Zanj. Unlocking value in carbon markets. Tokenizing carbon offsets as NFTs can address persistent pain points in carbon markets. How? The use of blockchain helps enable faster times to market, introduce new methods of certification, and bring to market new types of economic units of carbon negative activity. The bottom line, blockchain can catalyze greater value for both suppliers and buyers who view carbon as an increasingly liquid and diversified asset class. Catalyzing that value on an inherently sustainable blockchain like the XRP Ledger means scaling carbon markets in a way that better aligns with climate change goals, and several projects have already begun to realize the benefits of tokenizing carbon credits on the XRPL. One emerging leader in blockchain and carbon markets is Zanj.com, a UN-backed climate-focused fintech that aims to bring greater transparency, accountability, and trust to carbon markets. A regulated securities exchange, Zanj's goal is to eliminate double counting and fraud by establishing a clear framework and audit trail for other projects to emulate. And let's see. So a greener future through NFTs. While utility-based NFTs are a potent tool for reshaping many industries, there is perhaps no use case more important to the future of the planet than their ability to bring trust and scalability to carbon markets. XRPL is fast becoming a blockchain of choice for carbon credit NFTs because it is cost-efficient, secure, robust, and inherently green by design. What's more, the XRP Ledger uses significantly less energy than proof-of-work blockchains, with that minimal energy use being fully offset by carbon credits. Taken together, these capabilities makes the XRP Ledger a powerful platform for carbon offset initiatives. They're doing big things, and I'm not going to dive into that, but let's keep going. CBDCs will play a critical role in the new global financial infrastructure that blockchain technologies will undoubtedly underpin. But for a truly global system to work, interoperability is key. Digital Pound Foundation, Ripple, and yeah, we're getting a new global financial infrastructure, and blockchain, we've been saying it is the new plumbing of it. It's going to underpin the whole new financial system. And then please listen carefully. Ripple is positioning XRP Ledger for retail. Let's see that.
Team, here's how it works. Each nation's CBDC is hosted on traditions compared. This can be done multiple.
Oh, I think we already watched this video. And then the EU is opening an office in San Francisco. I saw it and I was like, that's really weird. So we're getting more collaboration with other countries and opening up the doors to a future of a global center for digital technology and innovation, right there. And then Brad said in 2022, I've been saying since 2019, unless XLM controls the CBDC network, there's no front-end, back-end payment system, private stablecoin controlled by a private company that can't go bankrupt using a stablecoin backed by US CBDC built by Ripple. Let's hear it.
U.S. is going to do a central bank issued digital currency. U.S. is going to do a central bank issued digital currency. Why do we need private dollar stablecoins also? That gets a little confusing for me.
So maybe we.
U.S. is going to do a central bank issued digital currency. Why do we need private dollar stablecoins also? That gets a little confusing for me.
So there we go. Like they're just trying to monopolize the market, and I'm sure they will. So there's no evidence XRP will be used for anything ever. This Rosie Rios again. XRP, this is September 26, 2021. So last year. XRP's primary purpose is facilitating cross-border payments while other cryptos find their value in speculation. China's latest move brings this point home. Ripple, RippleNet, Bitcoin. So we have the Treasurer of the United States back in Obama's era coming out saying the keys. Singapore welcomes another digital bank. The banking financial services are going digital. You can see, meanwhile, in June, Chinese e-commerce giant Ant Group launched Next, a wholesale digital bank in Singapore. Then where are you on the XRP rich list? Like if you just have 2,500 XRP, you're in the top 10%. If you have 42,000 XRP, you're in the new 1% of the world, as far as only 1% of XRP holders have 42,000. 61,670 XRP. And then you're in the top 10%, 2,400. So it doesn't take much to get yourself up there on the rich list. And then famed, so Jeremy Grantham warned super bubble and stocks have yet to burst. And we're not going to dive into that. So this is why we don't see Putin on the news. His speeches are revealing too much about EU and USA monetary policies. Let's hear it.
Резкое усиление инфляции на товарных и сырьевых рынках стало фактом задолго до событий текущего года. Мир в такую ситуацию последовательно загоняла многолетняя, безответственная макроэкономическая политика стран так называемой «Большой семерки», включая бесконтрольную эмиссию и накапливание необеспеченных долгов. Не придумав или не пожелав использовать другие рецепты, власти ведущих западных экономик просто-напросто запустили печатный станок. Таким нехитрым способом стали покрывать невиданные ранее бюджетные дефициты. Уже называл эту цифру. За последние 2 года денежная масса в США выросла более чем на 38%. Это 5,9 триллиона долларов. Денежная масса Евросоюза, в свою очередь, также резко возросла за этот период. Ее объем увеличился примерно на 20% или на 2,5 триллиона евро. Сегодняшний рост цен, инфляция, проблемы с продовольствием и топливом, бензином, в энергетике в целом – это результат системных ошибок в экономической политике действующей администрации США и европейской бюрократии. Напечатали деньги в огромных количествах. А дальше что? Куда потекли все эти средства? Очевидно, в том числе на закупку товаров и услуг за пределами западных стран. Вот куда они потекли, эти деньги напечатанные. Они буквально стали пылесосить, выгребать глобальные рынки. Об интересах других государств, в том числе беднейших, естественно, никто не думал и думать-то не хотел. Им оставляли только, что называется, как у нас в народе говорят, ошметки, да еще и по астрономическим ценам. Так, если в конце 2019 года импорт, завоз товаров в Соединенные Штаты составлял порядка 250 миллиардов долларов в месяц, то к настоящему времени он вырос до 350 миллиардов долларов. Примечательно, что рост составил 40%. В пропорции это как раз и соответствует необеспеченной ничем накачке долларовой денежной массы последних лет. Вот напечатали, раздали деньги, и за эти деньги выгребли все товары с рынков третьих стран. Понятно, что такое резкое увеличение спроса, необеспеченного товарным предложением, запустило волну дефицитов и глобальную инфляцию. Вот она откуда, эта глобальная инфляция.
So he's talking about the rigging, commodities markets, everything like that. It ties into kind of what I've been saying about the Moscow World Standard. They're backing this stuff by commodities, and they're getting off of this paper kind of trading standard of gold. So that is something to keep in mind too. And then we have Bitcoin below 200-week moving average and below realized price. It's such a crazy opportunity right now. Like, if you're still holding on to your hands, don't wait for too long, because like this just spells the story. Like, we hit a bottom. I'm calling it. It's time to get in. LG Electronics to launch Hedera-based crypto wallet. So South Korea-based LG Electronics reportedly preparing to release its first crypto wallet application named Walipto. That's so weird. In the third quarter of 2022, and they're building on Hedera. So there we go. Hedera is very like tied up. So it will happen suddenly. Let's see what this is about. Crashes in markets, commitments by government, assume national strengths will vanish. The warning signs are already taking place but are not heavily publicized. That's facts. The stage is set and we're approaching the first major events. The victim in this play are unfortunately the average people who simply hope to have a decent life. They'll be caught unawares and unable to even understand what has occurred, let alone take action to save themselves. Those who have not spent the previous years educating themselves and preparing an alternative life will suffer most greatly. Facts. All who live in a country that is undergoing collapse will be negatively affected. Some will do better than others, but to live on this slim hope is much like being fortunate enough to live on the outskirts of Hiroshima in 1945. There's little comfort in being one of the least injured. Better to have been in another country altogether, both during the actual event and during the terrible time that is sure to follow. Huh. Interesting. And they're talking about international alliances will fall away. Former allies will suddenly not be on the side of the failing nation. Talking about the dominance of the U.S. is dwindling away faster and faster and faster. And then suddenly there's going to be an event. We'll see what that event is. I'm telling you, it's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. And then we have SEC seeks early win in FOIA fight over crypto conflict docs. It's all just... To me, this is all just a show. I'm not even going to go into it. Altcoins bullish rally coming. 100%. We've been saying it. Bitcoin dominance going off a cliff. And you're saying total market cap exclude Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's about a moon. So these altcoins, now's the time. And then we looked at this. We looked at that too. That's gone now. And we looked at that. And then we looked at that as well. And then BTrax establishes Web3 Design Lab to accelerate new business creation in Web 3.0 for Japanese companies with Ripple as a strategic partner. This is September 1st. And everywhere you go, they're doing something. It's the best company. It's the crazy opportunity that we're onto this Ripple wave. DTCC's bull blockchain bet hinges on sign-off from JPMorgan Chase, State Street, and other custodians. This was... it's talking about just the DTCC and Project Ion, R3. We already know about that. And then any bridging solution between blockchains, such as the XRPL and its sidechains, should support... There it is, bridging solution between blockchains, connecting everything. XRPL, federated sidechains, made more effective by witness. Unlocking new use cases for the XRPL, sidechains ultimately allow for experimentation, specialization with new features on the XRPL. For example, developers can implement new features such as smart contracts via a sidechain to unlock native decentralized finance, and even more tokenization capabilities on the XRP ledger. Moreover, sidechains let developers use XRP in their own blockchain environment effectively without having to build value for a new token. And then XRP Ledger sidechains redesign. Last year, David Schwartz unveiled a new vision for federated sidechains and an innovation intended for developers to customize the XRP Ledger to the needs of their use case or build an experiment with new features that, if successful, could be proposed to the mainnet. So basically, you're able to launch your own kind of sidechain off of the XRP Ledger and utilize the network that they build and XRP instead of trying to start something from scratch. Who wouldn't want to do that, right? So there we go. That's that. And then we know about Stably. and we found the payment currency for Jim Rickards. So that's it for the newsletter, guys, and I hope you guys have a good weekend. You can text me, call me, anything you need. I'll be right here for you. So I'll see you in the Discord.